Hello everyone, this is Ashraful Arifin, and today we are editing this winter morning photo that I shot in Varanasi, India. I'll show you how I approached the light, color, and mood in Lightroom, and how I created a soft, misty, dreamy look while keeping my subject in focus. Here's where we started, and this is the final image we will aim for. So let's go step by step. I'm in Lightroom Classic and I'll start by doing some basic adjustments. So I'm just going to increase the exposure a bit and increase the contrast. I will keep the highlights as it is right now and maybe increase the shadows a bit just to give my subject a bit more depth. And for the white balance, I would probably add a bit more blue to my temperature and a little bit of green tint. And I'm keeping everything else exactly the same for now. Next, I'm going to do some color adjustments to my subject. And I'm just going to the color mixer. And here in the HSL panel, first I'm going to select the hue. And I'm going to make some little adjustments to the fabric the subject is wearing. And instead of making it look pink, I'm just going to make it look more yellow and orange, because my idea is to create that beautiful color contrast between orange and blue. So I'm selecting red and I'm just going to drag the slider towards more orange. That looks good. Next, I'm going to select the saturation. And again, I'm selecting red and increasing it a little bit just to add some vibrancy to my reds. And also I'll do the same for my orange. I don't want it to be oversaturated, so I'm just making small little adjustments. That looks good for now. And I'm not going to do any adjustments to the luminance right now. Next, I'm going to the tone curve adjustment. And here at first, I'm going to do a global adjustments to my image, like creating a bit more contrast and enhancing the highlights a bit. So here in the curves, I'm putting 3 dots, one in the highlights, one in the midtones, and another in the shadows. And I'm just going to increase the highlights like this. And I'll keep my midtones as it is. I'm just going to increase the shadows. Just to give my image a bit more depth. And next I'm going to the blue channel in tone curve. And I will be adding a bit more blue tones to the highlights area. So again, 3 dots, the highlights in the midtones and in the shadow area. Just going to increase blue in the highlights. That looks good. And next I'm going to the red channel. And this time I will decrease the reds from the highlights area to add a bit more cyan to my highlights. So decreasing the reds in the highlights will add a bit more cyan. That looks good. I think it's already closer to the vision I had. So I'll just go ahead and make a few little adjustments. So next I'm going to color grading. And here at first I'm going to work in the shadow area. And in the shadow, I'm leaning towards a bit more blue tones. Just like this. That looks good. Next, I'm going to the highlights and I'm shifting towards a bit more cyan, like this. I will probably go ahead and go back to my curves and increase the highlights a little bit more, just to really get that hazy early morning mist effect. And maybe I'll increase the shadows also. And at this point, I'm thinking that the highlights in this image are looking a bit too much blue. So I'm just going to add a bit of green tint to my highlights. So here in the tone curve, I'm selecting the green channel. And again, 3 dots, one for the highlight, one for the midtones, and one for the shadows. And I'm just going to increase the greens and the highlights. Now I'm just going to enhance the mist. And for that, I'm selecting the masking tool. And from the masking tool, I'm selecting radial gradient. And I'm just going to drag down over here. And now we can see that it's actually affecting my subject. And we don't want that. So to separate my subject, I'm going to select this mask and right clicking. And I'm selecting intersect mask with select subject. So now my subject is selected, but we need to select the background so that the effect can take place. So to do that, I'm selecting the subject mask and again right clicking and taking off the invert. So now only the background is selected. To enhance the mist, I'm just going to increase the exposure a bit. And I'm going down to the effects options. And here I'm going to decrease the clarity a bit. And also I'm going to decrease the dehaze just to give it a bit more softer, dreamy background. And that looks good. And next I will finish it up by removing some distracting elements. And for that, I'm going to select the remove tool. And for the mode, I'm selecting remove. You can always increase or decrease the size of your brush from here. And just resizing. Make sure that use generative AI and detect objects are selected. And then I'll just go ahead and brush over some of the parts that I feel distracting. And once I'm done selecting, I will click on remove. And then we wait and see what Lightroom does. And it's done. So at this point, I'm quite happy with the result, and probably I will wait a few hours and then get back to this image with a fresh eye to see if I made any mistakes and if there are any other adjustments need to be done. For the final image, I focused on keeping the light soft and natural. The goal was to keep the mood intact, soft light, subtle color, and a quiet sense of presence. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little editing walkthrough. Let me know in the comments what kind of edits you'd like to see in future videos, and I hope to see you next time.